joined by college football analyst for the ACC Network, Eric McLean. Eric, man, you are the first guest on the Hard Count. So one, thank you. Two, how are you doing living life on the road right now, it looks like?
Wow. I mean, that's a big honor, man. Thank you for being number one. That's awesome. And what a cool thing y'all have going on. This studio is beautiful. And so that's super exciting. So thank you for allowing me to be the first guest. But yeah, we're on the road, man. We're right in the middle of our ACC football trip. This summer road trip that we're doing. We had FSU. We started them off first. So it was great to be down with the Seminoles down in Tallahassee and just seeing that team. And we're with Duke today. So we're rolling. We're two in, and man, it's the best time of year. August 1st hits, and it's football season. We're here.
Good deal, man. Are you going to get to your alma mater? We got the paw behind us just for you, man. Are you going to get back to Clemson?
I appreciate that. I was thinking if I was going to wear a Clemson shirt today. I kept it neutral with the ACC. But yeah, we'll get down there. So they're second to last. So I'll be down there. I think it's like the 17th or 18th. And can't wait to see the Tigers, man, because it should be a nice little bounce back year. I know we'll get more into that, but excited to see them in person.
Let's go, man. A little bit of homecoming. We'll start there. You obviously haven't played at Clemson. I wanted to ask you, because I was itching to ask you this once I knew we were going to be able to do this interview. What was it like getting recruited by Dabo? What is he like on the recruiting trail when he's got that hat on?
Yeah, man, he's one of the best. He truly is. And then the crazy part about it is it's not a facade. It's nothing crazy. It's not the jets and the crazy photo shoots, which they do that a little bit now. But back then, man, it was just him selling the dream of what he wanted Clemson to be, where he thought it could go. And I'd be lying if I told you right now that back then we thought it would be this. We thought that a 10-win season would be a disappointment. But it was just incredible to see his passion and to see his belief, in the program, and really a guy that had done nothing to that point as a head coach. I mean, he was literally a one-year head coach at the time when I first met him. And it was something you wanted to be a part of. It really was. It was just so contagious that the positivity, the excitement, the vision, the dream, the all in. I mean, back then, that was the first time we had ever heard that. And it was something that I wanted to be a part of.
I mean, you were more than just a part of it. You're finishing your career as one of the winningest players in Clemson football history. So finish on the gridiron. How'd you get into broadcasting to where you are now on the huddle with the ACC Network? How did that come to be?
Yeah, man, it was a great career. Like you said, it was a lot of fun. We had some really cool success and really, was the foundation of what this thing is now and help build that. And that was our dream, was to help take Clemson to another place better than when we founded. And I think our class certainly did that in 2011, that class that came together. But, man, it's something that just, I don't know, I'd always been put in front of the camera. Anytime that Marty Smith or Herb Street or Fowler or any of those guys, came to Clemson, I was the one that was told to go and talk with them and go and do a show or go and do this appearance. And, really throughout my career, as the end of it, the kind of junior, senior year, people are just like, man, you should think about doing this as a profession. You're pretty good at this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, no, it's a fun hobby and maybe I'll enjoy it as a former player, but I know what it would take to be great. I know the sacrifice and I know the things that go into doing anything if you want to be one of the best. And I didn't want that. I wanted to stay at home with my family. I wanted to do all this and that. But what's funny is when God puts an opportunity in front of you and we have our plan, he has his plan. And, it was something that was so surreal when it was placed in front of me. I was actually at the national championship where Clemson just beat down Alabama. I got a call from a guy and he said, hey, there's some opportunity happening at ESPN with the ACC Network. We want you to be a part of the team. And, man, I just kind of blacked out. I didn't even know what to say. I wasn't expecting it at all. And, man, I'm so grateful for that opportunity and this journey that we've been on. It's crazy to think I'm going into my fourth football season, man. It's time flies by and wouldn't trade it for the world. Love the guys that I work with, the team that we have at the ACC Network, man. It's such a family feel, and it's been really cool to kind of grow up with these guys.
It's funny you talk about your plan versus God's plan. Sounds like God was knocking down your door saying, Eric, you're supposed to be in broadcasting, and obviously fast forward to all the amazing things you're doing on the ACC Network. I'm, for one, a very consistent viewer, if you will. And one of those games that y'all got was the Clemson spring game where you were on the field with Dabo, got to be back in Death Valley. What's the vibe right now around Clemson?
Yeah, man, it's cool when you can kind of keep that inside look and you can keep that going and the relationships with players, coaches, head coach, just because you get a little bit different look than a lot of people do. And so the excitement level is at an all-time high. These guys have been training and busting it, like they really hadn't in their careers. And, what I think is so interesting is this is really their first piece of adversity in quite some time. Think of the run that Clemson has been on. I mean, every single person on that team, this was the first year they missed a playoff. They didn't know what that was like. This was the first year they didn't win an ACC championship. Think how crazy that is. And what all goes into that and kind of this new fire that they have found and the dedication that they have found. So I can't wait to see it. We'll be down there. Clemson's second to last on this tour, so I'll get to see it up close and in person. But I think it all centers around quarterback. I mean, I think that's the easy answer, but it's the easiest answer to give because that's how important that position is. I think DJ has to make improvements. He'd be the first one to tell you that he did not play to the standard that has been set at the quarterback position at Clemson a year ago. And certainly were there other factors around it? Absolutely. Wide receivers dropping balls left and right, no continuity of the offensive line, different starters just in general. I mean, he was out, half of his production and his skill group throughout the year. And so I think if they can stay healthy, if that continuity can be developed in any kind of way, there's going to be drastic improvement. And then just personally, DJ getting better, losing that weight, redefining his body and just being a totally different guy. How much does that translate, to the football field? That's what we'll really see. Defensively, I mean, look out. Anybody playing these guys, they're going to be the best in the country. I mean, they're loaded from a star power standpoint. They're loaded from a depth perspective. I look at that defensive line, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's 5 guys drafted, next year along that defensive line, which is nuts. I mean, think of all that production that they'll be losing. But they are loaded defensively.
And it's ridiculous. You mentioned it. They have so many other pieces on this team around DJ to where a lot of people, if it feels like DJ doesn't get it done early on, they'll start to look around and say, well, that Klubnik kid we've been hearing about supposed to be pretty good, pretty highly recruited. In your estimation, is DJ the guy in 2022 to get them to where they ultimately want to be, which is winning the ACC, the college football playoff, and things of that nature?
It's too hard for me to tell right now, and I think it's unfair for me to say yes or no without seeing him in a live action game. As we both know, quarterbacks don't get touched in practice. Quarterbacks don't get hit in practice in scrimmages and all this stuff. So we have no inclination of how quickly he can process, get rid of the ball, and do better than he did a year ago. So until Clemson kicks off against Georgia Tech Monday night in the Dome, I don't think we're going to truly know, how much better that he has gotten. So after that game, we can do another podcast, and I'll tell you right away, because I think that's where we will see just how quickly, he can get that thing out and how mobile he has become. But as you just mentioned, if he hasn't changed, if he hasn't gotten better, Clemson now has a legitimate number 2. And Dabo Swinney has said many, many times, this is the best quarterback room I've ever had. And I think he's right because of the star power that is there at the same time. There's been a really nice kind of, system where it was one after another. Well, now they potentially have 2 at the same time. And Cade Klubnik is a guy that I don't necessarily think he can win the job. I think DJ will have to lose it. But he can win, and he's ready. I mean, that's all he's done his whole career. He's played at the highest level of high school football in Texas. There's nothing that is going to rattle that young man outside of physically, getting hit. So I think that he's going to be ready for a moment. He's going to be ready if that time comes. It'll be interesting. Is that now or when DJ leaves?
And I love what Dabo came out and said at media day. He's like, hey, y'all have been disrespecting DJ. This kid's a freak. He came in here and he had all the juice. He was kind of in Cade Klubnik's shoes when he got to Clemson. How much confidence does that give a quarterback after the year that DJ had in 2021?
Yeah, it's huge, man. As we both know, that position is half mental anyway. I mean, there's so much that goes into it from a cerebral part. Imagine if you didn't have the full support of your coaches, of your players, of your teammates, all these different things. And so I think that constant reassurance, that constant affirmation that he has received is massive and should certainly, help his development and, again, his confidence, because the tools are there. We've seen it in flashes, especially in 2020, where he, lit BC and Notre Dame on fire. I mean, he's the all-time passing leader against Notre Dame. He did it as a true freshman. And so, the tools are there. It's just the confidence, the mental side of it, some off-the-field things that I think he has grown from and become a better, student athlete because of. And we're going to get to see that on full display this year.
And he won't be doing it without some new faces on the staff. Obviously, Brent Venables gone to Oklahoma, Tony Elliott gone to Virginia. How much do you think that's going to ultimately set Clemson back? Because Dabo Swinney was really vocal about, hey, these guys have now earned their new coordinator positions in Wes Goodwin and Brandon Streeter. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I don't think the defense is going to feel much. And I think Coach Venables is one of the best, if not the best ever. And it's crazy to sit here and say that, but Clemson's in a good spot because of the talent that's coming back. And by the way, Wes Goodwin is a sponge. He's a genius. He's a guy that has just soaked in information, understands what he wants to do. It'll look a little bit differently. I think they're going to really lean on that defensive line. If you think about Venables and his defenses, he loves chaotic looks. He loves to bring it with safeties, corners, linebackers, and then the defensive line does what they can. I think it's going to much more rely on those guys up front. Let them go hunt. Let them feast. And, then everybody else will kind of fill in. But schematically, I think we'll see a little bit of changes, the same aggressiveness. It just might be a little different. And then offensively, with Coach Streeter taking over, man, he's been a guy that has just been waiting. He's been in the wings. He's been an offensive coordinator before. And I think it's very important that the OC is the quarterback coach. I mean, think of that communication line. Instead of having to go from a wide receiver coach or tight end coach, then to the quarterback coach, then to the quarterback, it's there. He's with them every single day, every single second, of a game. And that comfort level is at an all-time high. So I think that we're going to see more tempo from Clemson. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of the run game, especially personnel-wise, with who they have, really 3 stud running backs that can get it done. We might see multiple running backs on the field at the same time because I think there is a difference in scheme and identity. Your identity is what you got and who you are, and then scheme can be adjusted. So I really think we're going to see that from Clemson, and then at the end of the day, players got to make plays.
Well, that's interesting you say that about the offense. I'm excited to see that under Coach Street. Now, moving more to the national perspective, Georgia's the defending champs, reigning champs, however you want to phrase it, lose a lot on defense. What are your thoughts on Georgia having a chance to repeat in 2022?
Yeah, what's funny is it's all talk about Alabama. It's all talk about Ohio State. I mean, that's just really where it's been. And I feel like, Georgia's not going anywhere. They've recruited at such a high level. They have a lot of key pieces back. Now, did they lose all of that defense, a lot of that defense? Yeah. And was it historically one of the best ever? We saw that in the draft with how many guys went. But they've got tools. They've got pieces. Nolan Smith is going to remind people he's still there, and he's going to be making some noise and be a leader, for that group and various players across the back end that I know are going to be drafted extremely high. So, yeah, I certainly think they have a shot. Certainly think that they're going to want to defend their title and try to repeat.
It's amazing because, like you said, everyone's talking about Bama and Ohio State and these other dark horse teams, and it's like, Georgia just won the deal a year ago. Do you not feel kind of disrespected if you're the Bulldogs, or what would be the thought process there?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm making sure everybody remembers who we are, and early and often. I mean, they're loaded at tight end. Got like 4 dudes that, could start anywhere in the country. Wide receiver room, of course, is going to reload a little bit there, but and running back. I mean, it's just what they do. It's what they do. It's who they are, the thing that they've been able to key. Now it's that consistency. Can they build upon it? Can they repeat? Because for so long it was like, okay, Georgia can get there, but they can't finish. Well, now they finished the deal, and how can they build on that and keep going?
And obviously, it's funny to say, well, everyone's talking about Bama and Ohio State, and then we got to talk about Alabama. I mean, if you were to have to decide today, are you taking Alabama or the field? Because to the same token, Alabama's sitting there saying, man, we were this close last year, and they don't do well with silver medals in Tuscaloosa. Are you taking Bama or the field in, I guess it's August 2nd today?
Yeah, I think the smart thing would be to take the field, but man, they're going to be good. They're going to be really good. And, when you're bringing the Heisman Trophy winner back, when you're bringing, a stud wide receiver group that you went out and kind of got from some other schools there in the transfer portal that really rebirth it and revamp it with some really key players. And then that defense, man, they're going to be hungry. And Will Anderson, probably the best player in the country when you see what he can do, and the lack of respect that I see for that. I mean, and Heisman lists and all these player awards, that guy needs to be at the tippy top. I mean, first pick of the draft. He's that good of a player and has that much of an impact. And man, I got to tell you, if there's a game that I'm just can't wait to see in the entire country, Texas A&M, Alabama, circle it 100 times.
Star, Sharpie, underline. I mean, bring out all the arts and crafts for that game. I am 100% with you with Jimbo and Saban. I got goosebumps. I'm ready to roll, man. Going back to the ACC, what's the state of that conference right now? Because a couple years ago, it felt like it was Clemson and everybody else. Has that gap closed a little bit in your mind?
Yeah, I think it has. I think Clemson has been the water that helps all ships rise. I really do. I think the standard that was set by them, man, it just put a sense of urgency on football, for a conference that has been so hyper-focused on basketball for so long. And we've seen that. We saw last year. I mean, man, what a great performance with a Wake Forest team getting, 11 wins, a Pittsburgh team getting to a college football New Year's Six game with a team like NC State that was so close. And then, of course, Clemson winning 10 games for 11 straight years. So now we're going to see a bunch of quarterbacks back. I think it's the conference of quarterbacks, the deepest, and it's not even close, to be quite frank, when you see the level of play in the ACC from the quarterback position. The biggest thing is, how does that translate on the field? How many wins does that translate to? Does that, give an NC State team a dark horse shot at making a playoff? Do they make a run and finally win the ACC championship? A team like Pittsburgh with Keaton Slovis and all that they have coming back, can they repeat as champions? And then, of course, Sam Hartman, a guy that just casually was responsible for 50 touchdowns a year ago, something that's only been done twice. Can they take a next step and be very physical and be able to finally slay that giant that has been Clemson, kind of for them for so long? Oh, by the way, Miami and Cristobal and Tyler Van Dyke, what are they going to be, and the hype that we know is going to be on that train? So, man, there's a great opportunity here for the ACC, especially with all the out-of-conference games that they have early and high-profile out-of-conference games, to make noise, because that's where the national kind of opinion is developed, is what can you do when Pitt plays Tennessee? What can you do, Miami, when you go to Kyle Field and play Texas A&M? That's where everybody's going to remember you. That's where everybody's going to see, okay, is the ACC for real, or is it another bad year for the league? So they've got a great opportunity. Hope they can make the most of it.
It really does feel like it's continuing to trend upward, because you just named, 3, 4, 5 teams really you could talk about with all having a chance to compete, not just on a conference level, but on a national level. So I'm with you. I'm excited to watch them this coming fall. Eric, we'll get you out of here on this. I know Saturday is a work day for you, but let's just say you have no responsibilities. All you got to do is watch college football. What is the perfect college football Saturday setup for you? How does it start? How does it finish?
What a dream, by the way, that would be, for that to just have that set up. Man, well, first of all, I'm very blessed to have a nice outdoor TV. So I would get up early, man. I'm getting the Traeger grill rolling. We're going to have some awesome meat on that thing, smoking it all day. I'm watching game day. I'm watching every single game I can. I might even roll out a second TV out there. And I'm not moving from the couch for 12 straight hours. And I'm watching every single thing that happens, because it's the greatest time of year, man. And I'm excited for everybody. We're back, and let's get this thing rolling.
Gosh dang it. That got me juiced up, man. I'm fired up. Saturdays at the McLean House sound like a good time. Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on, man, giving us a little bit of your time as you are living life on the road with the ACC Network. But again, appreciate you dropping some knowledge on us, and we will do this again whenever you catch your breath from the crazy college football season.
I appreciate it, man. Excited to see this thing grow. Keep it going, and I'd love to do this again in the season.
Absolutely. Everyone, Eric McLean, this has been The Hard Count. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.